Welcome one and all. It is semi-finals time. First off, the open division in front of us. The rhythm hasn't changed. Clapham Ultimate versus BFD La Fota. These two met in the pool stages and it was a spicy game with a heckin' amount of breaks. Eventually, Clapham won that one in sudden death. But myself, Hannah Penderbury, and Stefan Rapart. So, Stefan, what are you expecting from this one?
Fireworks, explosions, freight trains colliding. I expect all sorts here. This is a matchup we've seen over the years, time and time again. Very seldomly ceases to amaze us. These are year after year the teams that are thought of as the favorites at the start of the season. They stay in form. They're looked at as the favorites in the middle of the season, and more often than not are the favorites at the end of these seasons. Here, only one of them will get to feature in the grand final of the Elite Invite. And what I like best is the fight of styles. I'm not sure if that's exactly the way the Benji Reese taught me that the saying earlier today, but it is a contrast of playing styles we see with the fast-flowing Italians and the gun-slinging British side here. So I'm expecting a show.
Well, it's going to be a little bit unpredictable. A lot of Clapham's roster that we're expecting and used to seeing are actually absent from this tournament. They've done pretty well to get themselves into semis, even without the household names of the likes of Justin Ford, Ollie Gordon et al. Congratulations to Oscar Modiano, of course. He is the reason they are absent. He got married yesterday, so congratulations to him and all of his family. Let's try and put a little bit of... we'll give you the lowdown on who had the best dance moves last night. But interestingly, the contrasting offensive styles, these two teams, but they both have exactly the same motto when it comes to defense. They are going to try and shut down the resets in the handler space. They're going to try and squeeze, is the name of the game for the defensive BFD. Grit for Clapham. They definitely are feeling it in their legs a little bit, perhaps not all of their roster quite as conditioned, and certainly the number of personnel for La Fota is huge, as always.
Massive roster. The Clapham line, even without some of the stalwarts, still covered with pedigree. Many here have won champions, many veterans on that side, and if they can get ahead early and make La Fota squeeze their line down and play with less of their roster, things could get interesting. So let's see if we can get a hot start out of the Londoners.
Well, initiating the offense is Tom Abrams, O-line captain, over to James Mead in the number 34 on the far side. Underneath, though, one of the rookies, if you can call him that, for Clapham, number 77, Hugh Knapp, joining the O-line. Of course, one of your fellow countrymen, Stefan, coming over from Furious George.
One of my favorite names in Ultimate as well. Not Hugh Knapp, but Furious George.
Well, certainly a very handy team to pick one of their roster up from. And another fellow North American actually on this line at the moment, who's got an incorrectly spelled surname on the back of his shirt, if you can spot him. Connor McHale dishes to McInnes. McKinney, sorry. He's got it spelt wrong on his shirt, and I've just mispronounced it, or misspoken even. Bit of a collision though upfield's going to give us a second pause in this point. McKinney over to Connor, who's going to rip that lefty backhand across the sky. Abrams underneath it. There's huge pressure. Both hands.
And maintained both. Both of them held on with 5 steps out of bounds even.
Luca Tognietti, what an absolute battle, but he's going to have to give that one up to the player on offense. The man collecting the first goal for this game is Tom Abrams.
The man known as Mum. That is one of the veterans we spoke of off the top. A long, storied, colorful career here with Clapham. Gets the first goal. McHale sent the shot, and I was just about to put a spotlight on the matchup there. Venturoli, who is getting the big assignment every time for the Italians. He's getting their most dangerous player on the opposition. And this time of asking, seeing that Connor McHale is playing on an O-line for Clapham right now. Well, I think it's a very sensible matchup. He is one to watch and turning into one of the better players in the country and most certainly on this team.
Well, McHale's been working for a really long time to kind of see his rise and ascendance. Came out of Sheffield Hallam University, and he got rejected quite a few times from trying to make those GB teams in the early stage of his playing career, but he really kept with it, and actually his mental fortitude is something pretty impressive, but now flourishing up here at the elite level in Europe.
This could be, I'm almost certain this will be the last time we see him on the European circuit for this season, as he plans to cross the Atlantic and go play with Chicago Machine, a relationship, a recruitment I saw the start of last year at Windmill, in fact, but more on that later.
Oh, well. Stefan Rapazzo, undercover reporter across the division, as we see La Fota putting up a sky ball, and that's going to be picked off by Eels, known on the ultimate scene as Salty. A foul on the mark.
And Eels looking a little unimpressed at Votsi, but he was initiating a fair bit of that contact himself. And the first break chance.
Captain of the D-line, Andrew Hillman. We've seen both captains for Clapham coming out in the early stages. No surprise there, of course. This is a very important game. Elite Invite is an opportunity to get your rookies some high quality reps across the tournament, so you can shorten things up a little bit when you reach this end of the championship bracket. Davies around to Hillman. Of course, both Hillman brothers on Clapham this season. We saw the team that Dan Hillman left playing on this pitch, carrying themselves a semi-final berth of their own. Deep space, of course, from the UK. Max Squires. Lovely inside to Magnus Wilson, who I hear had a beer yesterday. Magnet, not the party player he used to be. Maturing out. Lovely lefty around from Hillman, gives the D-line a break. And that's a great way to open it up if you're a British fan.
I think that's a great way to open it up if you're a fan of a good game, because I do think La Fota's got the small advantage, and that just decreases a bit. Like I said, if they have to shorten their lines, if they've got to use the smaller portion of their mammoth roster to kind of claw back, what kind of division do you get? What kind of unsettling do you get in that Bolognese lineup there? It's a hot start for the Londoners. And here is the final sequence of the break, the conversion of the break point.
Well, talking to the previous opponents of Clapham through this tournament thus far, not Clapham, sorry, La Fota, they've said that one of the keys at the moment to shaking this very large roster for BFD is to try and attack their mental game, try and do things as a defense that cause them to second guess themselves and each other. Because we know the Italians have some hot heads on their shoulders.
They like to react. The Italians like to react. And if you can do something to encourage their reactions, I mean, as long as you're keeping that well within the rules, ethically sound stuff, of course, but I think it's a nice little tactic to kind of fluster these fiery Italians.
Well, an interesting rolling pool is going to go out of bounds.
Obviously,
interesting choice.
They like to start him on a sideline.
Well, moving it around, lots of fakes from Corpi, looking for an option. Finds one on a high stall coming under. Arturo Raffi had himself a very good game in this quarter-final against Heidi's. Plenty of stats for him. Trombetti. Oh, lovely low flat backhand release far side. Vozzi.
Ooh.
Not quite the fast-paced tempo, but this is a great match defense from Clapham. Good separation. Mastroianni looking for a reset back. Corpi. Swinging across, Laffy now. This is really good, just containment defense from Clapham, trying to switch where they can, but eventually it is exploited, and that's a solid hold for the Italians. Barzazi with the goal.
Loved watching Laffy through at that point. Very sharp, hard outside-in throws with a little bit of angle to fight this wind, to get around some marks. He was very good at marshalling the offense. I also like the matchup between Tig Bogan-Carey. Our first look at him, of course, a defending European championship from a personal standpoint, but not with the shirt he's wearing on his back right now. He's been one of the transfers moved over to England and is joined the ranks of Clapham. And he did have a nice little matchup with Barzazi, but the eventual goal scorer was Barzazi, so gave him a bit too much room in the end.
Well, there was a lot of switching, as we said, towards the end of that point for Clapham. Sort of, you know, those buzz switches to really try and stifle the movement into the end zone, which is a smart look. You like to see that kind of, you know, team approach to defense, especially when you've got such a short distance between your opponents and the goal line that they're trying to score on. But yeah, a nice pickup, as you say, for Bogan-Carey, moving across to join his partner, who's now London-based. It's a field of something to do with the environment. I forget exactly what, but certainly a worthwhile industry to be a part of.
Tognetti spin pull. That was part of the inheritance he got from Davide. If Davide was to retire, his spin pull would have to stay with Tognetti.
Well, Davide, of course, no longer playing with La Fota, joining largely the Red Bulls side, helping the youngest of the young of the development of Bologna. Clapham looking a little bit lost for options, go for Abrams on the underneath. Hillman, the one that is allowed on this O-line. Dan Mead on the far side. He's been doing some off-season training by entering triathlons as Mead. Big around. But well, talked about containment defense for La Fota when huge layout for Tom Abrams.
That's two Abramses maintained strong-handedness with incredible defense against him.
Well, Abrams started playing in college, but had a real sort of rebirth in his most recent World Games appearance. To really put in the commitment to being able to pull out such plays as the one we've just been enjoying watching. But yeah, La Fota are doing a fantastic job, Stefan, of keeping Clapham pinned to their own goal line.
Contested stall out is what the discussion is.
Well, 2 seconds to squeeze out that reset to Hillman. Just about managed it. Callahan County or Country, if you're Stefan Rapazzo. Big shot though, a sky blade. Big bid, nearly takes out Hillman. Abrams with the second huge shot. The hat falls off of the North American import, and that is goal for Ian McKierney.
Way to turn it the other way. McKierney put on the Jets. There's a couple options going deep with separation, but the defense did come and close the gap, but Clapham flying out of the gates here. 3 on the board. And as we're getting our info from our wonderful statistician, Benji Reese, for this game, 10 passes to get themselves out of the end zone and then open the rest of the field with one final strike.
I believe it was Abrams that put that bladey arcing shot across the pitch. A little bit of a late bid from Tal Osri. Nearly clattered the Clapham player. This has a nice little ring to it. Of course, non-contact sport here. None of the contact is intentional out of any of these athletes. So we're playing by the rules.
And the rules that all of these players are obliged to know and uphold. Our sport has no referees, as some would say, or 14 all working at once, as many others would say.
And ideally working together rather than against. So Laffy swinging across that far side. Bit of a jailbreak through the Clapham zone, but it's managed to stifle Gasparini centering. Sort of a junky look. Clapham said they were very effective with getting some silent zone transitions going. There's no call, but they've melted to match coverage. Pavel. Easy one through to Laffy, just taking the small ball gains, and there we go. It's found Alberto Casanelli for the goal.
That is some very typical Italian style. That point is what were expecting to see out of La Fota to counter what the Londoners do. Fast, low stall counts, keep that disc moving, change the angle of attack, keep those London heads on a swivel so that they're always guessing where to defend. And they did it well this time as the disc just kept moving. This probably the longest it maintained in one hand with Pavan.
Yeah, talk about compare and contrast. Clapham doing a good job of squeezing the disc through the defense, but that just seemed like a relatively easy point for La Fota.
Coach Gerosa strutting by, not sure, losing many years, that every game that passes, win or lose, the amount of stress he takes on coaching these teams. We know how much passion the coaches and the captains he put into this, but he's doing a wonderful job.
And I hear from a little bird that he is actually going to be rejoining the playing community when he reaches Masters eligibility next season. So look forward to that. Abrams in the deep space, proving he can go good on both sides. But it's Ty Bogan Carey rising out of the grass and claiming the next goal for Clapham. We've got some nice clean trades here, Stefan.
Yeah, that was the contrasting style, longer looks, more space generated first before the throws go up. And on that time of asking, they were given quickly. And a nice finish for Ty Bogan Carey, throwing to the big receiver, throwing it up high, but not so much that he couldn't get it very cleanly with two hands there. But there's the play saver. Mead stretched out to keep it alive early in the possession before the big shot.
Well, Clapham taking the first break in this game. The previous matchup, we had quite the trade of breaks. I always love the stats game of La Fota and all of the BFD teams. They have so much information. There were 6 breaks of the 10 turnovers that were snagged by La Fota versus Clapham. And how many of those do you think were clean, Stefan?
6 of the 10. I'm gonna, if the question's being asked, it's gonna be one direction or the other, either 6 or 0, so I'll go with 6.
Oh, we'll bring you the answer after we watch this one be run down and clap court. Look at the speed on Eduardo Trombetti.
Trombo with the goal, with a late throw spike, but he likes it. And yeah, Hannah, let's get it. Now I'm begging to know.
So it was 4 clean breaks of the 6. So that was the quick counter-attack that Charlotte Terrison likes to tell us about when we're talking about any BFD team. It's that, you get the turnover and you immediately demoralize your opposition by punching it in. That was a really quick, almost Clapham-y style of offensive hold there for La Fota, showing they can do the big ball too. But as the players take a timeout on the field, we will too here in the booth, but we'll be right back with the action of the semi-final after this. Elite Invite Open semi-finals. La Fota clashing against Clapham. It's another one for the history book. I don't know how many stamps are in either column at this point, like for like, but at the moment it's Clapham that nudge in front. They have the advantage by starting on offense and also snagging themselves a break in the second point of this game. But the defense from La Fota, as we see Chopo chopping around, trying to deny Tom Abrams a cut underneath. And a stoppage. Another perhaps bump on the actually, yeah, in the center of the field. An accepted foul. Chopo getting a little bit too touchy. Of course, to give him his proper name, Giovanni Santucci. So Giovanni Santucci.
Giovanni Choppino, as it came to be known.
Big shot high and just knocks out of the already closed hand of Mead, and the contra-attack immediately. Giovanni with the sky, ripping it down. Oh my goodness.
And the roarous celebration, Chopo, the hard spike, the double fist point, the fist pump back bend. He lets it all out. Mum coming behind him there, no easy man to sky or out duel in the air. So Chopo did very well to hang on to that one and help convert the break.
Well, that puts us back on serve. La Fota will need to get a second break in this game. If this one just trades out, it will be going to the lads from the UK, but that is a fantastic response after that error from Mead.
So back to some of the info Hannah helpfully collected from the clipboard of the Italians. But, you know, we talked about how many of their breaks were cleanly held. Of course, Mr. Mori will start to calculate and tabulate what was the source of the L of the loss, especially when it's against Clapham, his greatest adversary. But he chalks it up to 3 catching mistakes, 3 throwing mistakes that were all just personal errors that should have been avoided, that are not part of, you know, anybody who's on a team like this is expected to be better than what those 6 would have amounted to. And that's really what he chalks it up to. And of course, a low turnover game for Clapham. Only 10 turnovers in this kind of wind is a pretty tidy game for them as well.
That's true. I've not been quintessentially British and already talked about the weather, as that was overshot for Mead, but actually does land into the hands of the North American import Knapp. Low bid. Oh. Nearly snuck the disc away, but great composure. Abrams now surveying his options, pivoting around. Oh, and grab just in front of the face of Roger. Hillman. No mistakes this time from Mead. Again, faking through, finds McHale. Hillman trying to do a bit of fancy footwork to gain those extra couple inches. Oh, and an exploitation of a poach off of Mead now, central position. And an easy score. Ian McInerney.
Easy score, but hard working Clapham offense. They were tested a few times there to hold their medal. The layout D from Sarako came awfully close. The pressure was there, but Clapham kept their heads, kept grinding with their legs, and eventually, here's the attempted D. Oh, goodness, was that close.
Yeah, Felix Martin, his first year on this Clapham squad, came out of Warwick Uni and is a half German, half Welsh individual.
There's the final score again. 34, James Mead, 2, 44, Ian McInnery. McInerney.
I think McInerney. He has given us a handy pronunciation guide that we're now noticing.
Yep, love the pronunciation guides.
We just can't figure out this chap's name. You know, the kit suppliers, us, it's all happening. So, a lovely pull from Clapham. It takes a good couple seconds to be fielded, but where's the rundown from the team in black? High five side. Big ball coming up underneath it, Gasparini. Oh, but goodness. Well, we talked about the personal errors that gave Clapham the last game. That's just a straight up drop in the end zone.
He worked so hard to win the position battle. He finally had it won. The defender was cooked, and on the other side was Tyler East. And then Gasparini did it to himself, not able to close the hands on the disc.
That's why it really hurts when you do it to yourself. As a famous songsmith once said.
Do it to
yourself. Hillman faking the big shot. Initiating the around to East. Low one's going to rise high, but not a problem for the ex-Brighton man. Charlie Butt, his first time on Clapham. Squires coming in for the redemption and shoots an immediate shot. That might be a bit too much hang time, and no bid comes, and the foul is called. A little bit of a stumble from the bump received from Alberto Casanelli.
I think Casanelli knows he fouled him. He lost sight of how close he was in front of him while looking at the disc. He realized he ran right into his backside, and he's not happy with himself, claps his hands in frustration.
Travel called way, way back before any of that occurred. Discussion as to whether or not the foul call was retracted. So that one's going to come all the way back. Probably a travel call on Squires.
So there's I mean, I guess so. If there was a foul accepted down there, but a travel here, I mean, it bodes well for Bologna to let it come back to the travel rather than to concede the foul at the other end where it would end up being on the goal line.
We're having a chat about it and some excellent... okay, so a retracted travel call after the chat between Squires and... Well, I think that's...
sensible retraction, I think.
Yeah. Pavan, I think, was calling it.
Benefit to Clapham here. And they're on the goal line.
Yeah, a little bit of a gimme for the D-line. And that is the goal. Eels collects with only one Bolognian player anywhere near.
Nice heel click from Hillman to tidy up the spike from Eelsy. Yeah, interesting little bit of conversation there. The travel at one side of it, the foul at the other. They both advantaged Clapham. Certainly the retracted travel really benefited Clapham.
Well, you've got to call as you see it in the moment, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with retracting it after having the discussion, but you do have to make that call. I think that was, a fair outcome. There was that big foul. Possibly a little bit of a gimme for Clapham, if we're being, pernickety or critical about it and trying to avoid any bias. But Clapham re-established their lead in this game. They are a nose in front, started on offense, of course, hence the 2-point scoreline difference. But La Fota will be chasing at the heels.
La Fota with their O-line back on the field. Well,
neither team have a home field advantage. I still remember that historic demolition that La Fota produced against Clapham in Caorle to take a gold medal at the European Championship finals. But of course, we are a very different stage of the season. Big shot coming out, but that's going to sail way over Pavan. Zani getting a bit too hasty and just giving the disc away.
And another chance to break for Clapham. This is playing into their hands. The longer they can maintain the lead, the better it gets for them. If the Italians have to play with only 7 to 10 to 12 or even 14 of the 20 some odd they've got.
Big shot out of the blocks, trying to hit Butt in the end zone, not just a couple of meters shy. Charlie Butt finding Mikhail. 1, 2, and it is good for the break. Clapham extending their lead. 3 on the bounce. Fraser Park pulling in that goal.
7-4. I sense a timeout could be coming, just assessing the body language of Davide Mori. He's digging deep into the memory bank, into the thought bank of what he can do to turn the tides here. Him and, of course, head coach Andrea Gerosa. But they have not made the call.
Well,
or yes.
They should. I think we're all in agreement in the booth. They should call a timeout. It does look, from everything apart from hand signals, like La Fota are calling a timeout. They've all circled up on the field. They've got 2 per half, and if Clapham score the next one, they're going to lose 2 of their timeouts completely. So no timeout called.
No timeout called. That was strange. It seemed like it, but there was no timeout called. Getting the confirmation from Santucci's glasses.
I think possibly my favorite moment of commentary this weekend that you definitely have to go see. Watch yourself the Heidi's La Fota semi-final if you haven't already, and there's a moment where Cioppo loses his hat and his sunglasses, and Stefan's call on that was exquisite.
I remember it well. It was good. Great moments in our sport in this tournament. All right, so the La Fota O-line back on the field.
Well, this time there needs to be a bit more discipline. We can talk between the next points about the 3 words that encapsulate the way that all of the BFD teams, including La Fota, like to try and play with. But discipline, I think, is probably the word that the coaches are using for this point, because they haven't been the last 2.
They are playing with a very similar 7 these last 3 points. Their O-line has a few extras. I know Coppi has not been out there. We've been watching his sunburned legs walk back and forth on the sideline.
Oh, that man!
Instead of getting some playing burn, he's dealing with his leg sunburn.
Yeah, there were some real lobstery vibes in the bunker last night. Rossi looking around, has Casanelli, and then back.
Oh,
big air bounce on that one. Abrams snags it through. This to make it 4 on the trot for Clapham. Mikhail looking around for options, finds one in the form of Hellman. Of course, Clapham coming off the back of a very good season indeed, 3rd in the world at the club championships in Ohio, where they redeemed their ill-fated pitch of doom.
And this might hurt if Clapham take half here, and Bologna didn't get a chance to use that timeout even. Geez, they are squandering some opportunities out there.
Hillman matched up with Zani. Had that throw in the previous point, and that one just about snagged between the 2 hands of Tom Davis.
I'm not sure he used all of his hands there, maybe snagged between his 2 pinky fingers. He just hung on to that one. It looked like it was falling away for the first portion of the catch. But that is a half taker for Clapham. 8-4, a double up. La Fota, do they have the potential to come back? Yes. But are we going to see that? Is there going to be a spark? What's going to happen in this halftime chat? What's going to happen in the second half?
I mean, I hope we're in for a roller coaster thriller where La Fota are able to rise, but we'll chat a little bit more about this one as we come back in. But for now, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the second half after these messages.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
My mom and I made a cookbook. Traditional recipes passed down through the generations.
They cater very well to modern kitchens.
Our recipes come from all over Italy, primarily from Le Marche and Sicily, where my parents come from. Two of the best culinary regions.
All the regions of Italy have their own signature food.
Buying this book will make you smarter and better looking.
Mannaggia Stefano, just promote the book.
Just search Mama's Italian Classics anywhere you can buy books online and get your hands on a copy.
July from Nottingham, England, the World Flying Disc Federation's World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Live all-access coverage, including semis and finals, exclusively at ULTI.TV.
Welcome back to the semi-finals here in the Open Division at BLE Invite 2023. A sunny but breezy Bern, as you see the paragliding parachute being controlled not with the best of ease on the scenes out here. And Clapham with a commanding 8-4 scoreline lead over La Fota. No one would have predicted this, Stefan.
No one at all, most certainly not Davide Mori. I had a chat with him before the game. He was the one thing that he thought could be of a worry, as I brought up at the start of the game, was allowing Clapham to have an early lead. And that's exactly what they've got. So let's see how they contend with this and find their way back into this one if they can.
Well, getting us underway, fielding that pull. Zani, who had a big shot throwaway, a couple of points back. But more conservatism from the chaps from Bologna. Barzazi across. Trombetti looking around to the back space. Good containment from Clapham. The wind really starting to power and churn and going up high. Hillman doesn't need to get the block, allows the wind to do it for him. But he's now going to have to throw against it. The lefty backhand down the sideline to Butt. His third season on Clapham this year. High dish, risky one in the wind from Eels. Clapham looking a little bit more like they've got some flow, but good stifling from the Italians to try and grind it back. Eels responsible for these new jerseys, finds Magnus Wilson. No Conrad this side, the two brothers. And an easy squeeze. Charlie Butt there, a big bread basket, and no one anywhere near to apply pressure. My, oh my, the wheels are coming off of La Fota.
La Fota cannot put a foot right now. I will reiterate that at the start of this tournament, there was some criticism coming from La Fota for not previewing them as a favorite, for not putting them in, and sure, we do have high estimation of them, always do. They are a great team. Right now, they are not doing themselves any favors in that regard. They are just getting taken advantage of. This wind, you see the throw by La Fota that just went up and up and up and over. Meanwhile, Eels is throwing high release pop passes and getting away with them on the other end. This is, they're just dealing with it much better, even when they do it casually.
There is a slight difference in Eels' one was a pop pass with the wind coming down, but yeah, you don't put enough spin on that disc and the wind's going to make you look like a fool very quickly. But exactly that, Stefan, the confidence allowed and permitted by the 5-point lead that Clapham are currently commanding is something a little bit special. We mentioned in the middle of that point, actually, Josh Eels is responsible for these new zoo kits. Got himself a cracking deal. And the only thing is very shorty shorts.
It's the new style. Those knee-length shorts are gone with the 90s.
Well, I mean, it just means you've got a slightly higher tan line, right? So all the rest of your the shorts, you're not going to end up with some strange tan lines from your playing gear. And of course, a lot of the players out here in Bern are acquiring themselves some difference between their naturally given skin colour. Tognetti looking for himself some options, hopping around next to him, but shut down for Casanelli. Big swings across. Casanelli keeping his shades on. Laffy just using those lateral movements, overshooting Roger, but Tognetti so close to redeeming that errant disc. Heartbreak once more for the Italians. Well, I'll tell you what, Stefan, this game's got more spills than a bolognese sauce on a white shirt.
Yeah, and those just don't look good.
Inside to Martin. Abrams at the back. I tell you what, offense coming out on defense for Clapham, just to keep their lads warm. Squires now, a little bit of a high one from Mikhail, but just low enough for him to still snag it. Low pivot, squeezing that one through. Delicacy on the footwork from Squires. Abrams pushing to get himself open in that front corner, but happy to take the contact is Laffy, and another point on the board for Clapham. How many unanswered is this now? 6?
This is a slippery slope, and they are in a free fall right now, are Bologna. And again, because they have diversified their lines so much over the course of this tournament with this massive roster, now when they need to shorten it, the rhythm is going to be so disrupted. Who can they put together and string together? We saw Tognetti come over to an O-line over there on the last point. Now they're going to pull over one other. It's just they're lacking the cohesion to shorten lines. They built this team to win by rolling lines and running line after line of these Italian soldiers that are all very capable, but once they get behind it, they need their brightest stars to shine. They're not all on the same page as far as this tournament cohesion goes.
Well, early stages in the season, this is not what the Bologna side are looking for. We've had a slight change of name, a slight change of personnel, but largely this is very similar to the personnel we saw last season. So a bit of a shocker, but I can't help but feel, Stefan, that it is that mental boiling over. I know that when they look through their previous games with the critical lens and assess themselves, the key words for BFD La Fota are humility, discipline, and intensity. And right now, I don't think really any of those 3 things are present in their game.
Discipline lacking the most, it seems. Actually, no, I don't even know if it's discipline. It's just the mechanics. I'm not sure what, but none are evident. That's for sure. Quick note from our stats: every time they do give them a chance, 6 for 6. Clapham on break conversions right now, so they're giving them enough chances, and wow, Clapham being sharp, cashing them in.
Well, this seems like a stronger start. That one's a little bit perhaps too far back, but extremely well read by Gasparini. I don't think that was the release that Roger was thinking about, though. Vozzi getting a little bit stuck. Stall count starting to rise, squeaking one out on the far sideline. Good catch. And a nice flat one. Give a go, quick movement, there we go. A little bit more tempo injected as they find Barzazi in the end zone.
And what they need is to get that D-line on the field. What they need to do that is to hold. They finally get it. Mastroianni was the release that didn't look that good. I thought he was going to call a foul on it, but because Gasperini managed to find a way, sure, let's keep playing. Okay, now you can put all these fresh legs on. We saw Venturoli walk past the commentary booth, frustrated, kind of putting the blame on the O-line. Oh, geez, our O's not even giving us a chance here. Well, now's your chance. Here's your chance. Okay, you're playing from behind, but we all know this is a game of runs. If you get the momentum, what can you do with it? How far can you stretch it? Let's see.
Well, talking about how far momentum could be stretched, 6 straight goals for Clapham coming into this long-awaited clean hold. So whistly clean as the shirts on the players. And defensive unit coming out. We did see, of course, some crossover of the D-line stars playing some offense just to try and keep those athletes warm. The man about to pull, of course, himself, Tognetti, couldn't redeem one of the overthrows from La Fota. But can they redeem themselves by getting out and grinding some gritty person defense? Bogan Carey, center of the field. Such a big athlete. But throws into traffic. Santucci with the pickoff. Roger, action rolling around to keep possession alive. Has Santucci available in the reset. Didn't need him though. Oh, and all alone on the far side. Casual dish over the top, and that's the break. Crisafulli with the goal, and are we going to see some life return to La Fota?
They had better hope so. That was a pretty talent-stacked D-line they put out there. They knew they needed to, and their talisman right now, the man who has stepped up as the voice, whether he's the actual captain or not, I'm not sure, but Giovanni Santucci there is the step in front D. Boy, did they need something, and they got it from him. They got it from Quentin Roger, keeping the play alive. And you'll see with the score, the other big name on this defensive unit, well, there's a few others, but right here, Pingu Tognetti with the up and over to get it to Crisafulli. There we see what La Fota is capable of. Can they build some momentum right now?
Oh, I hope so, Stefan. I hope so. Just readying ourselves. Tognetti again on the field. Luca Tognetti, of course, to give him his full name. Shout out to all of his fans at home. His dad in particular, who is extremely proud of his achievements on the field, and deservedly so. But Clapham's O-line back out with their finest 7 on the pitch. Abrams running that one down from Mead. He's going to have to track it well. Good lefty grab, nice and solid. McInerney dishes, and oh wow, that's just about over the goal line. That will do nicely for Clapham, a quick and easy offense hold. And we're in legs 11.
Good grab by Abrams, good body while he was at it. He had that left arm just feeling where Chopo was behind him. A little bit of a box out, not quite a push off, but you'll see it here. The right arm rather, just keeping him at bay while he went up with the left hand. Santucci was awfully close, and if you get another, it depends how far this extends, you'll see Chopo telling Abrams, showing a very short bit of space between his 2 pinched fingers about how close he was to making that play, but in not making it, it's another one on the board for Clapham. 5-point lead maintained. 11-6, 4 to go, and that's always dangerous when there's less points to closing the game out than there is to the other team catching up. It is a very comfortable lead at this stage for Clapham.
Yeah, one of my stereotypical phrases to say is to talk about a cushion and how the opposition are going to try and rip as many feathers as they can out of that perch. Mastroianni. Low pivot and finding Rossi. Oh, but This is, again, really good containment defense from Clapham. Pinning La Fota in the same, more or less, 4 vertical meters. Rossi. This is much more patient scenes from La Fota. So we have a stoppage on Trombetti. Big mark of Wilson. Barzazzi just squeaking one through, having a throw against the wind for the resets now. Travel call. Mastroianni with his ponytail fluttering in the breeze. Tightly packed curls. But yet the wind making that reset extra difficulty setting. Oh, that's going to be a huge grab. My goodness, Laffy.
Mastro asked for quite a lot there, floating that one up into a small space. A lot of hands it had to cross, arms it had to cross, and requiring the splash out grab by Laffy, but it did work. It is Slurpee time, as we all know, Hannah, to indicate the score line.
You've got that so well stuck in our heads that even on games that you're not calling, Stefan, we talk about our favourite flavours of Slurpee. But I tell you what, that's one of my favourite catches of the tournament. Absolutely zero concern for the health of his own knees, has Arturo Laffy. So just a hold for La Fota. They're going to need to really pull together something spectacular to knock Clapham off of the perch and out of their berth into the final tomorrow. The rhythm of this tournament has been open first, women second, and then the prize crown spot to the mixed division, who have had the easiest schedule, 2 games a day here. Of course, Open having 3 yesterday. This is only game 2 for both these sides, so maybe it's too little playing time for La Fota in this tournament, because obviously it's a very different rhythm spread over 3 days here at the Elite.
Very different indeed.
Horizontal stack for Clapham. Abrams found on the far sideline when nothing looked good upfield. He's tempted, he's going to do it, he's going to go for the deep shot to Mead, coming out the hand of space. Oh, that's a huge reception over the top, valiant effort, but doesn't quite manage to stop it, but it's an overthrow! And the second error for Clapham comes out from Mead. There might be a discussion about a foul.
We might as well have a look if they're going to have that discussion. We're probably going to get a second look here.
Well, Riccardo Zani put all the pressure before that one was released from Mead's hand.
Oh, a throwing foul there. I'm not sure I saw anything there that would indicate he could be invited to look if he liked, but boy, oh boy, here's another look. Oh, Zani's right hand is around the elbow area. It's the second look, slower motion. There is a little bit more of a validity in my eyes.
It's a tricky one. I mean, the step round, you can see the
Watch
positioning
the right
of the leg and the mark. There is perhaps, if anything, I think probably the infraction's wrapping before actually Mead steps out. He's getting a bit too close with those hands. Maybe trying to get a little touch in there, but that's going to be retracted after the discussion and a turnover.
So that's funny. They retract. Initially, I thought no foul at all. By the time that was slowed down, I thought so clearly a foul. And it does go the other way to La Fota now. Shows
that complete subjectivity, depending. VAR is not always the thing we think it is in terms of an objective opinion, but this, in my opinion, is much better offense from the D-line of La Fota. Roger lashing it forward to Santucci. Oh no, sorry, that's not Santucci. That's someone else with excellent sunglass and hat game.
Zani.
Indeed. Tognetti making a grab of his life and immediately pushing it into the end zone, and that is a much needed break for La Fota. They have 3 breaks to their tally now, Stefan, but it's nowhere near the lead that Clapham have gained themselves. What are your feelings?
My feelings are that was a very interesting play at the other end. It went the way I initially thought, and then absolutely opposite the way I thought towards the end of the discussion. I think they did great to capitalize, but they've got to start stringing these together. They can ill afford to let Clapham have a few clean holds. One more clean hold even. They just especially now, it needs to be a run. The hold break is great, but they need to, they can't just even get 2 in a row and give them back 1. They've got to do more than double them up to win this game. So we need to see a run. We need to see their strongest D-line out there, big chase, and make Clapham start thinking about things. They just had an error in their own end there when it looked like an easy score. Now is time to mount the pressure.
Well, the pressure is there, and it is starting to try and squeeze Clapham. They are, I mean, that was James Mead having to race out of the handler set and into the deep space on the pitch, which is not really where we expect to see him from Clapham. So plans A through C not quite coming off. It seems like La Fota have made the adjustments to stop the early, easy movement, and they're having to go for something a little bit alternative, and that's a pull that's going to land. Come down to earth and had some good hang time on it.
Very good pull in these conditions.
Conor McHale launches that big lefty backhand. Ty Bogan-Carey underneath it, rising up high and snatching over the head of the defense. Jan Novak. Back to McHale. Oh, give and go dish. Bogan-Carey with the spike to finish that one, and Clapham hold to keep themselves well out in front. 5-point lead.
Interesting to see before that point started, they did have one crossover, did La Fota. Sebastian Rossi played defense more frequently, showing up on their O-line. But Bogan-Carey, what a welcome addition he is. I'm sure over the course of the weekend, this is the first time we get to see him, but a leap like that over a quality defender like Jan Novak is, well, Clapham are pretty happy for his proximity change and making him eligible to be part of the Bullfrog, because playmaking like that, as we saw him do to become a champion last year, is going to be very welcomed in London.
And talking of changes for Ty Bogan-Carey, this is not his first change from one big name European to another. Originally, he's a Pelt lad.
Oh, I thought we were talking about big name.
I mean, Pelt have attended European Championship finals.
Yes,
if
I know.
anyone can please remember Budget Channing Tatum himself, Niall Murphy. Had a great showing at the Carole party when they were playing for, I think, dead last at the tournament.
Small dig at our fellow commentators, Lorcan Murray and Liam Grant, of course.
But we love the Pelt lads.
Indeed.
Pavan. Faking, doesn't like the look of any of the options downfield. Puts a good fading reset around Casanelli. Gaining some good yards now. They do have the deep shots available if they'd commit to them, but just more trotting down pitch than anything else and grinding back towards the disc. Looking very good, that option. The disc, not quite so much. Huge pressure on it, and the redemption. Oh my goodness, what a trash collection that was. Woof.
Gasparini, Oscar the Grouch living in a trash can to collect that one. What a pickup. I thought that was all over, but the crying when Trombetti missed on the up. He had pressure, so he missed acceptably. The throw was a bit too high. Made a nice effort and missed with D on his back, but wow. Here he comes. Here's another look. Oh, except.
I mean, we got finnied by the players on the pitch. You can't ask fairer than that. A timeout definitely called by the circling up of both teams. So we're going to take a brief moment of repose, but don't go anywhere. Can La Fota bring it back? We'll find out after this.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Back in the action here at the Open semi-final, Clapham a not nose but a whole head and shoulders in front of La Fota as we see a fantastic redemption on the far side from Ian McInerney. Mikhail. Offing forward to Nap. Pretty stoic stuff from the chaps in black and gold. Shiny new kit has arrived.
It's a zone we're looking at here with an assassination on Mead.
Interesting choice because he is responsible for both of Clapham's turnovers so far this game. If you're going to shut someone down, it should probably be Tom Abrams as he finds Felix Martin on this back corner. The zone exposed with no transition in sight.
And with so few chances to get their D-line on the field, I was saying during the timeout that I'm surprised with the choices. And if the answer is we are playing the long game here, this is for the season, not the tournament, then I can understand. But I find it hard to believe that when you get into a semi-final as a team like this, where they know how much victory also does, that is the long game they're playing. But I would be tight. I would be putting on it every time I get a chance. I would have to have an all-star D-line on, and if that means I got 16 guys that don't play the last 8 points of the game, 7, 8, 10 points of the game, I, as a coach, am okay with that. They clearly aren't, but I do think right now they are the smaller outfit. Some of the matchups they are playing a little more level rather than taking away the under, because they're afraid of what the Clapham can do on the deeps because of the height mismatches they get. And I think you can put a very tall, athletic 7 out there on D for La Fota that could counter them just a bit better than their mixed lines are doing.
Well, maybe we can create some bonus patron content, Stefan, and you can talk us through who your dream 7 would be for that La Fota line. What Coach Rapazzo would have put out here on the pitch. So we see a lovely low shooting release. The air bounce on some of these low releases from La Fota have seen them come undone quite a few times. But at the moment, it's all gravy for Casanelli. Laffy looks around for his reset. Fires one way out of bounds. We can see what he was trying to do. Trying to hit Andrea Mastroianni.
And I was crediting the Laffy throws, those sharp inside out, rather outside in bladey forehands that he whips, and that have been quite handy for him in this wind in the start of the game. But that one there, just getting away again and really telling the tale of what's been happening to La Fota.
Hillman ripping a big one that's going to sail over Charlie Butt. That was a ambitious release.
And there is a discussion.
I think a foul away from the discs. That didn't impact the release from Hillman, unless it was the call that kind of made him try and stop throwing halfway through. By the way, we should probably talk about the fact that the wind has changed directionally. It's currently from sort of right to left on your camera view, and from the far to the near side of the pitch, so like a diagonal crosswindy type affair. So that previous throw that came unstuck for La Fota, difficult, needed to be more of an inside out than an outside in, because where the wind's coming from, that's pretty much showing the, as they say, the bottom of the disc to the wind, which is, it offends the weather gods, and they send your disc far, far from where you intend it to be.
That's not what you want to be doing in this sport. Don't offend those gods.
Especially not with hammers, which cause lightning. Definitely not that. Facts, hammers definitely cause lightning. That's why we have so many events that are affected by it. I mean, definitely not. Mastroianni looking around for options. La Fota being pinned to this back section, of course, throwing into the wind. That's what made some of the resets really tricky. We saw La Fota having to be creative to grab themselves one of those all-important breaks. Nice inside shot laying out just to make sure. Gasparini. Those fancy orange boots, iconic for Casanelli. He's been having himself a pretty good day at the office, although some of his teammates are less so laffy. Nice little bouncing one up. Gasparini. Oh, and that's a big escape, but a pick call potentially.
Suspiciously open, so Hannah's assessment is what my assessment means, or vice versa.
Yeah, he's fast, but Casanelli maybe not quite that fast, but it's a catch-up rather than a disc going back. So Casanelli on the goal line, inches away from the hold. Much needed so laffy. Big old poach off from Hillman, making that option look nice, but the wind, of course, is flustering around. Rossi. Oh, it's an easy toss, but cat-like reflexes. Oh my goodness, Barzazzi with the lefty snatch.
So would this be a good time for me to tell you who my favorite 7 defenders would be if I had the clipboard for the Bolognese?
Give us. What's your take? Who you got?
Venturoli. He's their best defender and happens to be the biggest. Jan Novak, another big, fast defender. The 2 talismans, Santucci, Tognetti. I want both of them on the field. I cross over Barzazzi, I cross over Pavan, I cross over Rossi, and those 7 get me a D right now. Will they listen to me? Well, they're probably not actually listening at all, but would they?
Stefan, let's get a shot. Let's get in shot. Exactly who will emerge from the pack of white-shirted athletes on the pitch. So we've got Choppo, got Santucci, we've got Tognetti. Who else we got?
Out of my 7, it seems like that's it. Oh, Venturoli, we got 3.
Can we find any more?
No, I see they've crossed over Zani. And then with them, we've got Simonazzi, we've got Crisafulli, and we've got Tal Osri that didn't make my dream line.
Well, I don't mind that. Tal Osri had a fantastic game against Heidi's.
And that last point, as our wonderful statistician Benji Reese tells us, the first point of this game with multiple turnovers, more than 1 turnover. So that tells a lot about how tidy it is in these conditions and how much your mistakes are taken advantage of. Yes, brutalized.
Absolutely
if you make
brutalized.
mistakes and you pay for them in this game.
Well, currently the personal error box has got plenty of chalk marks in the tally for La Fota. There's been pretty much 2 or 3 for Clapham. Mikhail, far sideline. Get the flick out of that man rather than his iconic lefty backhands. Martin into Hillman. Bit of dancing from Felix Martin. And now stumble from Mikhail. Still count must be about 8.5 on that one. Can't redeem it. A pinball game, but a Clapham foul call. I think Hillman just got a little bit too much touching from the mark of Tal Osri. That's his 2nd foul call against Osri.
I was about to say they didn't use my line, but they got the D, but did they? Oh, that call, I don't know.
I am unsure, but regardless, Stefan, the level of the defense there was high. That would have been, I don't know, 8.5, 9.5 release point.
There is, so the bump came before the release, that we can see, and we're back in play.
And an action man roll from the man himself, Tom Abrams, collecting another goal, and we are at game point for Clapham, if my stats do not deceive me. But can they get a block and another break to add to their tally to do it, or is it going to be a break train out of La Fota?
Well,
tell me your dream Clapham D-line, Stefan.
Well, now this is a dream Clapham D-line with who is here now.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly there's a few that are at the wedding that I would probably choose. Right now, I mean, Connor McHale is the first easy choice out there. I go Bogan Carey, I'd probably want out there right now. He plays a bit more O. Wilson, I would put it. I probably think a bit more of Conrad than Magnus, to be very honest. I'm getting stuck here with the dream, so I'm gonna be happy to take the 7 we've got out there.
Well, what we don't see, if we've talked about Clapham's height, there's not that many of their big man units out on the pitch for Clapham on this first match point.
And I think that's why I would like to call the big line for the Bologna D, because most of Clapham's big players are on their O-line.
Oh, I tell you what, actually, I tell a big fat lie. You've got Magnus Wilson and you've got Charlie Butt on this line. They were just far enough away, so it's a bit like, these cows are small, these cows are far away. Although, was it actually Charlie Butt running down the sideline far
Yeah, that
side?
was him on the sideline.
Ah, there we go. He spooked me. Active sidelining, though. Shout out to that man, being a committed teammate. So, this to keep the dream of a finals berth alive. They're going to have a heck of a mountain to climb, but if anyone can do it, La Fota can.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Ain't no valley low enough. But the pivots have got to be low to get against this win. Zani into Rossi. Oh no, that's Pavan. Basazi, easy hold for La Fota. Bish bash bosh.
Into the sunburnt hands of Kopi. Now they've got a chance to put a D-line back out there, and a D-line that will need to do nothing but roll. They can ill afford a single point. In fact, not even ill afford, they cannot afford to give up another point. The only option for La Fota is, well, a heck of a D run right now.
All right, so we've got Santucci, we've got Tognetti. Who else we got walking towards that line? Simonazzi?
No, he just got called off.
Called off. Oof, oof. Spoke too soon.
We see Novak, and it does look like Simonazzi is out. No, he's just high-fiving, he's hyping. Zani's out there, Venturoli's out there, Gasperini's crossed over.
Well, it's a powerful roster, powerful lines on the
And
side of Clapham. You've also got some talent. You've got Martin, Abrams, McInerney, however we say his surname. We'll get it right for the next one. I'm sure we'll have to ask him. McHale. Can't quite check the numbers. Oh, you got a Hillman. Oh, no, name we've not said, I think,
Nap.
this game. Yep. No, is that both Hillman brothers together? No, it's not. Surely not. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, well, there we go. That's why I couldn't figure it out. That's the first time I think we've seen them both on the field together. So, brotherly love.
And that pole sailed out of bounds. The last on the La Fota D-line I didn't talk about was Rossi, who's another crossover.
Right, well, while that gets rolled in by Tom Abrams, Stefan, what's your call here? Do you think a slick, clean hold, or are we going to get our favourite ending to a game if it does go Clapham's way and have an opportunity for that break? That little carrot there.
My call is it lies in the fate of the universe, and we'll find out shortly.
Try and pin him to an opinion, but we just want this game to go on as long as possible. But a timeout is going to be called. Abrams doesn't like the look of anything that this top 7 have put together initially in the first maybe 3 seconds or so. So as the athletes take a break on the field, we will too, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for the end of this game. Coming at you.
We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI.TV. ULTILeague.net.
Well, match point for the offensive line of Clapham. Ultimate hailing from London. Bern turf, though.
I wondered about the timeout we saw there. They must have not liked something they saw. It was early in the sequence. I think if La Fota are ever going to get something, maybe there's something they take from that they, you know, Clapham didn't like what they see. I don't know, but they gotta find something. They gotta dig deep, and hopefully they get some motivation from it.
Well, a squeeze out and a pick off. A fantastic defense. The foul call is made, but Jan Novak, regardless, great vision. I'm not sure that this went too far away from where Abrams intended. A good peel off defensive play.
Santucci knows he fouled and slapping the ground there because, oh, he did a great job of making it as clean as possible, but oh, and another stoppage of play. That's 3 times now we've restarted from this spot.
We're back in action. Abrams again looking around options. Oh, huge plays. Santucci's got to be a little bit cleaner than that, though. That was a give up from Clapham, but the foul can't be doing. Oh, my goodness gracious me, Lady Luck, you fickle woman.
The follow through there by Zani is apologetic for it, but that is not appropriate. That is not allowed. The play he made before that, goodness gracious, how lucky for Clapham to keep their hands on that.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, that is great focus and attention from Ian McInerney. Dancing around in front of the mark, but not quite able to get it through, just about under hot pressure. Colin McHale, far sideline. The sideline you want him to be as that lefty. Casual dish, though, to Hillman. Naughty boy, we love to see it. McHale spinning around. Happy to bide his time. Looks like Knapp in front of him, but has Hillman instead, and that is going to be game, folks. Tom Abrams, I would probably say, Stefan, would be my player of the match this game. He seemed to be firing on all cylinders, no matter what side of the disc he was. Appropriate that the offensive captain for Clapham finishes it off. One of the few vets still here, not at the wedding of Oscar Mondiano, but a deserved win. Stefan, what happened to La Fota this game?
Well, La Fota just could never get in a rhythm. A couple early errors took them out of it. They could never really find a chance. The moment the spark, there was a few sparks, but they could never build on the sparks. There was never a minute to get that momentum going. And a big credit of that was to Clapham. La Fota put themselves in a position to have to play from behind by making errors early in the game, and Clapham just kept their foot on the gas. As Benji Rees said, Clapham were playing really Clapham-like ultimate there, and despite not having their regular faces, they just kept being very Clapham-like and winning. As we look at the stats here, Hannah, what stands out to you?
Clean holds and clean breaks. Tally totals 15. 15 goals for Clapham.
That is the tail of the tape. When they did it clean. Turnovers in this game, even when you talk about La Fota, who had a sloppier game, turnovers really minimal in this game. They're only 1 point with multiple turnovers. You know, the 6 breaks for Clapham were the tail of the tape. A lot of those came in the early stages. A lot of them gave them that cushion, that buffer, and Clapham continue to be the monkey that just digs their heels into the back of La Fota. And every time they think they've got it off their back, Clapham comes back and digs the fangs in deeper. And boy, Clapham is a nemesis to many teams in the Open Division in Europe, but none more than to La Fota.
Well, this is a real statement game. I mean, Justin Ford who? Ollie Gordon who?
Conrad Wilson what?
Alexi Long who? Although, to be fair, we never actually told the fans that Alexi Long was the person with the fantastic dance moves on the wedding dance floor last night. But clearly, the rookies that Clapham have acquired themselves this season and just being embraced by the rest of their teams. On the Veo stream, we do have on a rebroadcast later, you can watch all the action from the other semi-final.
But we can tell them who won, and we shall.
Shall we spoil it, though? Okay, right. Big spoiler alert. If you don't want to know the winner of Mooncatchers versus Wall City, plug your ears now. Right? 3, 2, 1. We're going to tell you what happened.
The final will feature the winners you saw here, Clapham versus the Mooncatchers from Brussels. It will be a repeat of what we saw at the Independent Classic Festival Tournament, Tom's Tourney in Bruges. Well, not quite. Sorry. It will be Moon in the final. And it's a repeat of the semi, but that was against GB Open, not Clapham. So it is not a repeat of anything of the sort. It's Clapham versus Mooncatchers, final elite invite. Those two already guaranteed tickets to the EUCF. They have both qualified, making the top 2, but now it all comes down to bragging rights and ultimate glory. Who takes home the title?
So hold on, who is still playing then at that game that's currently in our camera stream? Because that looks a lot like Moonwall City. I mean, they're 13-9 up, so I do back the lads from Brussels.
Wait a minute. I had info that I trusted, and it is all over but the crying, but it is not actually all over.
Oh, well, I tell you what, Stefan, if you want to keep it, I mean, if you really want to avoid the spoilers at all, then just don't watch what's on your screen. At the moment, Moon up in front. I mean, well, are we going to commentators' curses? I don't know. Let's find out. It's going to be rebroadcast in full. We might even give you some commentary over the top of it. I did promise Nemo from the EUF that I would put some commentary on top of Yaka versus Shout, which we have put on the static cam. But that is a Mooncatcher's goal by the looks of it.
Bakeman's, maybe, Feller, who knows? That's quite a distance. It would probably sound like something like Yonkers to Orlovsky's to Yonkers to Ochinsky. Something like that.
I mean, to be honest, you could replace that with pretty much any roster name you like. It's such a talented, deep squad. Oh, yes, please. Tireless ULTI.TV camera crew. Big shouts out to Milan, Lucia, Felix, Chips. Doing a fantastic job. Milan giving us some twerking as well, working camera too. What a man.
And Lucia on the desk right now, getting her done. Everybody, this is just, we love getting here. We love bringing you the action. And because we do, we'll remind you once again before we check out of here, before the big women's match coming up next, to become a patron, to like and subscribe and do all those things. And it is so easy, both in process and on your bank book, to become a patron. So if you're watching this, you're already eligible and, you know, qualified to become a patron. So do your civic duty, give back to the community by being a patron with ULTI.TV.
And you can also sign up for the ULTI.TV newsletter, I believe, to keep up to date with exactly what we're doing, where you can find the links, all of that stuff. I know that we have some love. In fact, I was stopped halfway through this tournament, Stefan, by a mother of a La Fota player saying, we absolutely love the coverage because a lot of our family lives overseas and they can check this out. It's not behind any kind of weird
Paywalls?
Yeah, but specifically, my least favorite paywall is the kind that stops you from watching a game in a particular locality of the world. Whereas one of the things we talk about less in terms of our coverage, Stefan, is the fact that it's not only free to watch live and on demand in a particular location like Europe, but it's actually worldwide availability of these live streams, provided you can get onto YouTube. If your nation says no YouTube, that's not on us.
Might be tricky in China, let's say.
But everywhere else, and you can do what you like with our content. You can chop up your own highlight reels. You can put fun things with it.
One more reminder, since we're there, we alluded to it during the last game. Maybe the grand introduction. You're going to be getting much more information on that coming soon. But the diversity showcase coming up at EUC. It will be featured there on the Thursday night, the evening match. We've sent out some instructions to nominate yourself, of course, to felix.nemec at ultimatefederation.eu, felix.nemec at ultimatefederation.eu. Give him your nomination if you'd like to nominate yourself to play in this game. We'll first be seeking those starting 6, so 3 men and 3 women for each side, for 2 different sides. So that's 12 players we'll be seeking to nominate as cores of each of these teams, and then from there nominating around them. So a great initiative for the European Ultimate Federation to be making, to showcase our own versions that have been inspired by the mesh and
disc diversity
projects around the world, and we're excited about it. So yes, please, if you're a resident of Europe and fall into the ethnic diverse categories and you think you could showcase yourself in this showcase, do it. Get on board and start nominating.
Yeah, visibility is so important. And even though Ultimate Frisbee did once appear on a website that was named as stuff white people like, it in fact has a healthy and thriving community of persons of colour, and we are so lucky to have such a diverse sport. So we want to champion it to make sure that every player, no matter what your colour, creed, preferences of ice cream gelato flavour are, that this is indeed a sport you can participate and thrive within. We saw a couple of moments ago, Wall City currently looking to stay alive in the other semi-final. Conrad Schlor doing Conrad Schlor things, rising up and making a grab. There was a huge attempt earlier from Leo Eichler, but it seems to have been a turnover heavy point as Wall City looked to try and stay alive playing in black.
There's a smack away for the Mooncatchers.
Well, Dan de Marais has been doing Dan de Marais things, apparently skying the pants off everybody on the far field, number 4. And the iconic stride of Ref Yonkers on the near sideline. Timeout call from Mooncatchers, clearly wanting to finally end their semi-final. The women's division warming up.
Who are we going to see in the semi-final on this stream, Hannah?
Well, we will be having an all-German showdown. I'm so excited. It's going to be Jinx versus Seagulls.
Ah, the classic upset from last year's EUCF, where Seagulls bested their German counterparts, who had probably made a bit more of a living of besting them.
Oh yeah, they got a point to prove to Jinx after last season. Certainly, well, they had a very tasty pickup that they don't have here in the form of Kyoto Binovis. But I think we probably do need to wrap it up here, though. Thank you so much for joining us and our special bonus content as the players in the Open Division take a cheeky timeout. We're not going to get to spoil the end result of that game, but you can watch it back. It will be rebroadcast from the VO camera. Shout out to the EUF crew for organising that lower cost option and trialling it so that if you don't have the budget to bring ULTI.TV to you, then you can do something of your own making. We're all for more coverage, but if you want to help us cover more tournaments, please again do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ULTI.TV. I've been Hannah Penderbury for Stefan Rapazzo, for everybody out here in Bern. We'll see you next for the women's semi-finals. Do not go anywhere.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.